federal bureaucracy. Are they the good guys or are they the bad guys? I'm sure it depends a lot on which side of it you're on. Chris and I discuss it some more on episode 2 of Conversations with Real People on Individuals Unite.
Yeah, right.
Okay, let me give you an old man's perspective. You talked about the Department of Education started by Carter in the 70s. Well, I went to school in the 50s and 60s. There was no Department of Education.
Mm-hmm. And your state was in charge. But
you're in Massachusetts.
Absolutely. Massachusetts is, by any standard, one of the best states in the Union.
And I came to teach in Ohio, which was not one of the best states, maybe one of the average states. So I've went to school before the federal Department of Education, taught as the transition was happening. Actually, I was gone by the time it really meant anything. Mm-hmm. No, I don't think it's gotten better. I don't think the federal government's done anything but just stick their foot in it and mess it up.
Okay. Well.
And for what it's worth, if you ever read, Thomas Sowell and Walter Williams and so forth, they're black guys. Walter Williams has died. Thomas Sowell was quite old, but they were both economists. Thomas Sowell was an economist. They're older than I am, and they grew up in the stuff you're talking about. Mm-hmm. And they hate the federal government.
Mm-hmm. Are they from the South?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't laugh. No, they were from the projects kind of things. Sowell grew up in Washington D.C. or that area in D.C. I think. Good question. Walter Williams. Not sure. But anyway, no, they knew the discrimination. There's discrimination. We were never discriminated
just
against.
Because of that, because like I said, there's that whole vibe where everybody hates the feds in the South.
The what?
It's the one way to connect with people. Everybody hates the feds in the South.
Well, okay.
That's a whole thing.
I never lived in the South, but I don't.
If you can avoid property taxes, if you can avoid paying taxes in any way possible, they withhold money, they withhold labor, they withhold everything. It is a conscientious objector. Yeah.
But I lost my train of thought. But
so you're talking people that grew up in this system? I'm talking about that hate the feds.
Well, I was talking about Walter Williams and Thomas Sowell, and there are others, and even and that's the thing. Another thing that bothers me is blacks are this. Blacks are supposed to think like this is what black wants. This is what blacks have experienced. You talk to blacks, they're not so quick to say that. They're people. Mm-hmm. You're white, I'm white. Do we agree with each other? No. Why should all black people expect to be thinking the same thoughts? And so
they're
forth.
Not.
Okay.
I think a lot of it too is people need health care. I know you think it's not the role.
Well, I'm not saying people don't need it. Black people need health care. White people need health care.
Unfortunately, a lot of your poverty-stricken people are the ones that are falling through the cracks the most about health care. And the poorest people in America statistically are black people. Because
there's percentage-wise, for all I know, for all either of us know, the poorest person in America is white.
I mean that to me is being disingenuous. Like the poorest people in America are black for sure. There is no arguing that. Yes, there is arguing that. They are 15% of the population. You can go down south, and I will show you. You have to see it.
But I've been down south. I have seen it, but I've seen poor white people.
Okay, well, so it's my opinion.
It's the poverty. Why make it about poor black people? Make it about the poverty.
So that's what I'm saying. Like I'm just saying, it's really more about poverty, and poor people don't have access to health care.
Okay, hold on. Let me finish what I was saying, and we'll go there. Because I don't have the answer. But,
we just easily throw out black people because most black people are
what both Williams and Sowell have said, and many others, is that they did better. I mean, I think we're all richer in a sense. Even the poor people are richer. And I'm not trying to pick a fight.
Oh yeah, no, we said that. I mean, if you have a cell phone, Jesus, that's a whole level.
Yeah. But what I'm getting at is that they had families. I mean, you want to talk about what's going to affect the kid's upbringing is whether there's a father in the house, black and white. The idea of marriage and a husband and wife, mother and father, it's like since I was a kid, black and white, that's a problem. And again, Sowell and Williams just stressed that all the time. I mean, they had mothers and fathers in the black community, every bit as much as they had them in the white community. The idea of a solid black community with mothers and fathers and go out and play football or whatever on Sunday afternoon, whatever. I mean, it was, they did that, it wasn't, people think this, what it is now has always been like that. No, it's not always been like that.
It takes a long time to overcome.
No, Chris, you said it takes a long time to overcome.
Hold on now, don't cut me off. What I'm saying is, if it was totally acceptable for your great-great-grandfather to be sold to a different place and left.
But you're not talking about anybody alive today.
That doesn't matter. What you're saying
is. Yes, it does.
If you're talking the traditions that you follow, you can't just say, okay, poof, be a cohesive family. When it was literally, your life meant nothing. You were sold like property. Literally sold away from your own family. So if it's 3, 4, 5 different generations, that's the blink of an eye.
But you're trying to go back to explain things from
But it's
1860. I'm talking about people who are still alive today. Thomas Sowell is still alive today.
Have to be. I'm talking about a 17-year-old that lives right now, carries that same trauma.
Let me talk. Thomas Sowell, black, still alive today, grew up in the projects, says they were better off back when he was a kid. They've been going downhill since.
I mean, I understand what you're saying.
But he's black. You're trying to say he's wrong.
It sounds like what you're doing, I forget the name for it, but it's like, you can't use one example of one person and extrapolate that out over a whole group of people.
Sowell is not talking. Uses statistical. He's an economist.
You're using his experience. You can't take his experience and extrapolate.
Well, whose experience are you using? What? Name the black guy you're referencing.
I'm not upset. I'm not trying to be upset.
No, I'm saying upset. You say I can't use Thomas Sowell.
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying you can't take one person's view and extrapolate that and say, well, a whole bunch of other people must feel the same way.
But that's what you're doing.
Okay. I don't really know exactly.
Because I've known a number of blacks.
And
frankly, when I hear about how horrible it is to be a descendant of a slave, I hear it from white people. I don't hear so much from the black people.
I don't want this to be published. I don't want to be part of your podcast. I thought we were going to have. Well, or whatever. I was really hoping.
This won't go on if you don't want it on.
You're very important to me. You're a good neighbor, and I really appreciate you. Okay, I do. I really appreciate you.
Well, I want this to go on. It won't go on if you don't want it on.
I don't want to.
Well, can we?
I don't want to be. I feel like you're using me to push an agenda, and I don't.
Well, see, I feel like you're using me to push an agenda.
No, Chip.
Why is it only me?
I didn't ask to be part of your interview, Chip.
What?
I didn't ask to be part of your interview. You asked me if you could interview me, and I really appreciate you, but we have very differing views, and I respect you.
And I want to discuss those different views.
I know, but
because I think what a really boring discussion is when everybody agrees with each other.
I know. I just feel like you're getting upset.
I am upset, and you're upset. So let's try to work through it.
That's not what I want to be. I want to hang out with you and have an easy. So what I'd like to do is not talk about things that make us upset, because that's not the kind of relationship that I want to have.
Well, Chris, my point on that is we know we have problems, serious problems in this country. We can agree on that, and those problems aren't going to go away by our trying to work our way, without discussing them.
Yeah, so the best way to do it is to be politically active in whatever.
But your idea of politically active is different than mine.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. So, like, you have a right to do your thing, and I'll do mine. That's what I love about this country is we can both. I respect you as a person, and I have no problem.
I respect you as a person.
All of the
Absolutely.
Things.
I didn't invite you in here because I don't respect
exactly.
you.
So all of the things. I mean, we totally disagree on a lot of stuff, too, for sure. Like, I think the generational trauma is a real thing. And you don't, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. It just is two different people that don't agree on one subject.
But my point is, let's discuss it. And I'm not dumb enough to think by the time 10 more minutes goes by, we're all going to agree with each other. But
no, not at all. But
let's discuss it.
But the kind of audience that you probably cultivate, they're really mean, hateful people, and I don't want to be.
Excuse me?
I don't want to be criticized by them. I know how right-wing people are, dude. They're hateful as heck.
I'm a flaming liberal.
Well, what I'm saying is...
Individual rights, I'm
afraid that a lot of times individualist thoughts get picked up by libertarian type of people.
I'm not a libertarian.
Libertarian people Okay, well, all I know is, okay, I'm not going to see the comments, so it doesn't matter. I just don't want to be picked apart. It's not I don't care enough. Like, it's not my thing. I don't want to put myself out there to be criticized by people because I don't care enough about them or, like, about being public about my views for it to be important.
But,
you know,
Chris, don't you want your views to be?
No, I'm a very humble person. I just want to live my life and do my things and let the fruits of my actions exist. I don't.
Yeah, okay, I get
I'm
that.
not. I'm not even necessarily trying to change people who don't agree with me. You know?
Well, damn, you know what you are? You're an individualist.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I really feel like America needs to have as much individualism as possible.
Well, yeah.
I don't like loud music, but I don't want to limit people's right to loud music.
Until they're blaring, not from your side, but if somebody's blaring music and I'm hearing it in my house.
Yeah, that's a tough one. If somebody's parking up here at the end of the street and they're blocking my way to get for the fire trucks to get in, and our house freaking burns down, that's a problem.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, but like, I love AR-15s. I love guns. So, you know, like, I'm a big proponent of guns, but I like to just shoot them and stuff. Like,
I don't like to shoot people. I get that.
Yeah, exactly. Out in the country, an AR-15 is fun. You know, you're just plinking around with it. Yeah. But some people have real problems with it. You know, because people do really bad things.
And and this could be true of anybody. Me, you, anybody.
You can edit this right? You're gonna do some editing, right?
Is what?
You're gonna do some editing, right?
Nothing will go out that you don't want.
Well, what I'm saying is, we can now that we're calmed back down, we can talk some more. We'll just edit out some of this, okay? You can.
I'll do an edit.
So
you'll see.
We didn't talk about it before we got started, but I was afraid it was gonna be okay because you got your Trump sign out in the yard, dude.
Yeah, man.
I can't even fathom. Don't even get me started about that. He may have some important views, but he is a train wreck of a person. That is my personal view.
When you have a right that opinion.
He's a New York City liberal turned whatever as a grift. It's just a grift. Every bit of it is just a grift. I don't even think he believes any of it. But he's definitely making millions.
Do you think Hillary Clinton isn't a grift?
Oh, no, for sure at that level. But she's just not so. He's a caricature of I don't know what.
A caricature of a politician.
He's a caricature of a caricature.
Yeah. If you're going to make a movie making fun of politicians, which has been done, you could just take Hillary Clinton and just put her in there. you wouldn't have to change anything.
You could. Yeah. For example, it makes me laugh, but I would take Alec Baldwin and cast him as Donald Trump because he hates him so bad. But he is also, because of his own problematic history, he is almost exactly the same.
Yeah. So, well, let me just say about Trump, because I was never a fan. I knew he existed.
Yeah.
You'd hear about him, read about him here and there. Well, you hear and read about people all the time. He had the show. What's the one?
The one he was on where he hired and fired people.
Yeah, what's the name of that?
The Apprentice.
The Apprentice. Yeah. Because my daughter was a young professional then, and she would watch it because she got something from it. You know? So she had it on, so I was watching it. And I thought it was a decent show. I was way past that point in my career that I even cared, but I would watch it. I thought it was an interesting show. Mm-hmm. And Trump wasn't on it the whole time. He was in it here and there. Yeah. And at the end, he'd say you're fired. But, you know, his assessment of the people, I think, was very good about what they got right, what they got wrong, what they needed to.
I never watched it.
I wouldn't have watched it, but I didn't watch it a lot. But it was on, so I was watching it.
It was during a time in my life I was just nose to the grindstone. I feel like I didn't watch any TV at all.
Yeah. But my point is, it's just, no, I'm not a Trump fan. I haven't been bamboozled. I haven't been indoctrinated.
Well, good.
And I didn't vote for him. I don't know if you noticed. I didn't vote for him in 2000.
It's cool. I mean, I grew up in a Republican family.
Okay. Yeah. That's more than I could say. I didn't vote for Trump in 2016. I voted for the Libertarian, not because I'm a Libertarian, but because I was not going to vote for Clinton, and I was not going to vote for Trump. So I
didn't vote at all.
Well, I think I don't blame you, but I think we're supposed to really should vote. But the point I'm making,
I'm telling you, I couldn't hold my nose to vote for either of them.
And I didn't. My point is, I voted. I just didn't vote for them. because there are always other choices, you know.
I mean, I can't stand. I question anybody's judgment to put Hillary Clinton in office just because she is a woman. That is not the only reason. She's a horrible person.
Well, I don't care that she's a woman. I care that she's a horrible person.
I feel like the Democrats ran her because she was a woman and ignored that she was a horrible person. Is what I'm saying.
Well,
I could have been wrong about
that. You see,
it was the wrong time and the wrong place for her.
You take how you feel about Hillary, and that's pretty much how I feel about all of Washington.
Hey, dude, me too. I feel the same way about Bill Clinton. I hate him. I cannot stand him. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not mixed up in everything they accused him of.
I have to wonder.
100%.
I have to wonder.
Except for Pizzagate. Pizzagate's ridiculous.
Actually, I read about that. There's something behind. There's a bit behind that. Of course, the media blew it out of proportion.
I heard that too. Yes, that there is.
So what they say it was
grain of truth.
What they said it wasn't. So
it's all about 4chan. You know about 4chan, right? And so
no, which
4chan is some sort of open server board, and you can make comments. It's almost like I don't even know how to describe it. It's a chat board, kind of.
Okay.
But you can say whatever you want on there. There is no censorship. And people do really crazy, like you could plan terrorist acts on there and stuff. And because it's run through VPNs and stuff, it's as anonymous as you could possibly be. So anyway, so 4chan pushes a lot of it, you know. But I am of the belief that a lot of the dissenting views in America are outside players.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
You know,
I mean, whatever's out there, whatever's there. Are we in America? Not sure.
Well, I just mean that so much of it, like if you hear someone with a dissenting view on the internet, or they're saying some troll comment, you can't even assume they're here in this country.
Right, and frankly, I don't have a problem with that, because if somebody in France or somebody in China, of course, you got to be careful what you say in China, you'll get arrested. But if somebody in China wants to disagree with me or agree with me, I don't care.
Oh, no, that's fine. Yeah. What I'm saying is, like, when something happens and they automatically start, like, with like, what do you call it, the fire hose of disinformation, that sort of stuff. That's what is making it difficult for people to make informed decisions. Yeah. What about deepfakes? What are we going to do about that?
Which one?
Deepfakes. Oh, do you know about this?
Deepfakes?
It's when we take your thing and then I hijack your whole individual podcast and I'm putting words in your mouth and no one can tell that it's not you.
Right. Well, here's how you tell. If you see one video one time, you have no way of knowing. But you cannot watch a person speak at various points, different days of the week, about different things, and not get an idea of who they are. And so you can't deep fake based on that. And then if somebody does a deep fake on that guy and has him saying something absurd, you say that's a deep fake.
But what about when you take a very famous person and you make them say stuff?
But that's my point.
It's not someone I think it will be possible to be.
Oh, it's possible. My point is not that it's not possible. My point is exactly the opposite. We all know it's possible. Therefore, you presume, until you know better, that what you're looking at that looks stupid and couldn't possibly be, it probably is stupid and isn't, you know. Too many people jump at something because they want to, you know. But, you know, if John Kennedy is in a video saying, I want to hand dig my way to China straight through the middle of the earth, I don't care how realistic it looks, you know, it's not true, you know.
Right. And it's going to be more of the small little insidious stuff. It's going to be interesting, especially,
But I think there's good and bad in the internet and all of this technical capability, in that people, I think, will, and they're doing it now, they're starting to realize, you don't know what it is, you know. You'd be foolish to assume anything about what you thought you saw or heard. I saw Jurassic Park maybe about the time you were born. I think. When did that come
early.
Out? And that was one of the first, let's see if I can get the term right, computer graphic imaging, where they had dinosaurs meet up with people. Now, of course, it was Godzilla.
And we remember what it was like before.
There was Godzilla. You're not going to be fooled by Godzilla or King Kong. I mean, they were so fake and also obvious.
But those velociraptors in the first one, in that lab.
In Jurassic Park.
Alien?
We'll wait on Alien. But Jurassic Park, and I watched that. And I'm a tech geek, so I even had researched how they do that stuff. And I watched that, and I realized I could not watch that and technically tell it wasn't real. I just knew it wasn't real, but I could not discern from looking at it that those dinosaurs weren't there. And I said to Jan at the time, I said, we will never be able to believe what we see ever again. You're going to have to know it's true, not because it looks true, but because you have somehow determined that it's true. And until you have determined it's true, presume it's not true.
And it's my opinion that when AI starts to teach itself, not us teaching AI, it will learn to bypass your alarm systems in the beginning of your brain that detect bullshit, and it will pass right through it.
There's people going right back.
Oh yeah,
there's people with no bullshit meter already. You know,
I'm saying the most observant people will be instantly fooled because it'll hit them on an evolutionary level. It will attach to something that's 100,000 years old in your system. You know.
Well, I think it's because people want to believe. That's what mythology is. Mythology is little tidbits of truth built out in a way that people want to believe it.
Yeah, what does that mean? Oh, well, let me tell you a story about that.
Yeah. I mean, the Greeks had their gods, and I don't think too many people back then actually believed these gods exist just the way they told. But
they were there for the party.
It worked. It helped them to feel like they understood the world, because we think we're so smart. I'm not sure we are, but back then they didn't know the world was round. Yeah. They didn't know what caused a flood. They didn't know what caused a drought. They didn't know what the wind really was. So these things would happen, and it was easy to say, somebody made that happen. There's a God that does that.
This is a good point about getting back to education. So what if the problems that we have with the federal government and the state government sort of evaporate with the onset of AI? Because where a state's going to get their curriculum from, AI, the same place that the feds would get it from, soon, is what I think. And so, for example, I talked about this with Annie yesterday. Imagine if you get your own personal AI avatar educator from 5 years old, and just hear me out.
I like that idea, but okay.
I'm saying it might be an inevitability. So this avatar grows with you as you grow, and so it knows literally everything about you. This is the future.
You're scaring me, Chris.
I know, but we're already selling this data. They already have this data about it. Yeah. So what they're going to do is build it into a model, and it's going to give you life advice. It's going to be like what you talked about. It's going to be like Big Brother, but way bigger than that, because it's your best friend. They hang out with you. No one else is around. It's a literal AI that has sentience. It's going to change education. We're not going to go to buildings anymore together in the class of 30 rooms. We're going to be at home in your living room. It's going to change everything.
I've always said, when people say things like what you just said, I've never heard that quite like that, but things like that. I remember I had my tonsils out when I was, 7 years old. And I don't know if it's the hospital or my parents or somebody, they gave me a teddy bear that you wanted up and I played volleyball. It was about this tall. And that was the coolest thing for me. I'm like this with this thing for a long time. I don't know how long I had that thing. And so the reason I bring that up is certainly children will attach themselves to things that they know aren't real, but it means emotionally it works for them. Adults, certainly, they're more adult about it, I guess, but they do similar things.
And so, Dear Diary, I was never a big diary person, but what if this avatar that's with you is your diary?
Well, I'm saying, what if you attach yourself emotionally to it, just like I attached to a teddy bear. Well, how more phony is that avatar than my teddy bear?
Exactly. And what if it can take the words and it can be like, whoa, this person is seriously depressed, or this person is being sexually abused, Jesus. And
I figured if you had a sexual abuse meter, that would be good.
Well, all of it together, it's going to take every bit of data that comes into your life, and it's going to process it. And I mean, I think this is actually something that's going to happen, because remember, tech is in charge right now. Chip, what are they not in charge of? What is tech not in charge of right now? I can't think of a single thing. About the whole thing with SpaceX ordering some massive amount of NVIDIA chips to build an AI supercomputer. So somehow they went to there's a new branch. It's not part of Tesla. I think they were originally ordered by Tesla, and then Elon made a new company, and then they're using it for that, and it's going to be based in Memphis. It's going to be the world. It's basically going to be the next Skynet. It's the world's largest supercomputer with all this stuff.
Yeah, I'm aware of it, but I don't know much about it.
So I mean, that's what I'm saying, is it's kind of just all gearing up, you know. And a lot of people talk about that. That's when you get to the singularity, you know, about that.
And what are they going to do with it? Well, we kind of know what they're going to do with it, but I mean, it's...
How much longer will humans even be in charge, Jim, is what I'm asking you. It could be only 10 more years that literally that humans are still in charge. The whole thing to me is like, I'm not scared by it. It's not scary to me. It's just, I don't know what to expect.
I'm not afraid of course, the technology is, a car is technology, a train is technology, a TV is technology. No reason to be scared of the technology. It's what people do with it that's scary. Right. Guns is what people do with a gun.
All the things that you just named are nothing compared to the cell phone. How many car accident deaths will just a cell phone cause today alone?
Well, and you can't blame the cell phone. You blame the idiot that was looking at it. But and that's what I'm getting at. In so many words, that's what I'm getting at. Is it's not the tech; it's how we treat it.
But if the tech slips under that conscious layer, if it slips past it and under the fence, what are you going to do?
I'll pick on TikTok as far as that goes. People say, and
I stay away from TikTok because I think it's too addictive. I don't even want to touch it.
I've never used it, but it is that where it becomes such a part of your life that it actually affects your life.
And it learns your algorithm. It learns what you like.
It starts influencing you, and you don't even know what's happening. That's a little much.
That's what we're talking about. Who's in charge of making this thing, and how does it? But I guess my point is, whether the idea is good or bad, I see this as probably the future of education, because that's just how it's going to happen.
Again, I don't have a problem with it being in education.
No, not at all.
It's just what is it teaching and how is it teaching? You know, but what my grandkids, other grandkids that used to stay here sometimes when they were, 6 or 7, 5, 6, 7, 8, I don't know. They'd be on a computer, which is, that would have been easily 10 years ago, maybe more. And they had these little, I guess they still have them, these little things on a computer, the little games they could play, and they could have math. They involve math questions, all the basic arithmetic and stuff. But I watched those kids do it. I love that software. They were engaged in it, and they were learning their math and how to think and manipulate. And the important thing is, it was a tool for them. It wasn't trying to change them into anything. It was a tool for them. But then you get to TikTok, and it's a little more like, they're turning those kids into subjects.
Right, but they're also sending them down a pipe. It's like they send them down the water slide. The kids like, oh, let's go. And then next thing you know, you're on a 60-foot water slide, and there's no getting off of it. We agree on that. So anyway, that's what's going to happen. I think that the traditional, this is from the past, what we're using right now in education, piling 35 kids into a room and just talking at them, that's not really like the best way to educate.
But it's not the worst way. There's advantages in that they're there together and associating.
The social situation is good. Exactly.
And I think there's a lot. You're talking to me about a personal avatar, and everybody has one, but think of the advantage of a classroom. Again, maybe 7th graders that's not intellectually up there enough to matter too much, although they could learn one. But if you're in high school even, and you have a discussion, and kids get going on something, and so you have all this intertwining of ideas and observations, well, that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, that's true.
And you're never going to get that out of an avatar.
True, but you might have chat bubbles and the people in this online group are together. And I know it's not quite the same thing. It's not quite the same thing. I get that.
Because I've been on video meetings.
It's going to be a hybridization of what we haven't experienced yet. It's going to be a version of all things together somehow. When we did a lot of remote learning, it was a complete disaster. No one even logged on, not in our school. Most kids didn't care. They didn't log on. They didn't do nothing. Most of the kids that went to my school were just out of school for over a year and a half. And they came back and they couldn't read and they can't do stuff. They were so delayed. And their parents were pushing them to get back into it. There's nothing we can do about that as a teacher.
No, I know that. They could going back to my classroom again. I had all the kids, not the smart kids, not the dumb kids, all the kids, and there were kids I couldn't get to. They sat there.
Yeah.
And what am I supposed to do about it? I got 30 kids. So I taught to the middle, basically I taught to the average kids. The smart kids weren't getting what they should have gotten.
No, they weren't.
The goof offs were doing nothing anyway. So.
They take most of your time. I think we know that as educators.
My viewpoint was I can handle one disruptive student, maybe two. By the time you have three, it's over. You can't keep them corralled and teach the class at the same time.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's tough, man. So, sometimes, for example, they have special schools where just for kids that are disruptive in that classroom that are making
and frankly, I think
your
they should
life
be.
out.
They shouldn't be in a classroom ruining it for everybody else. And then hope.
What to do? It can be extremely challenging teaching in a public school where there are children there that they don't want to be there. Their parents don't care if they're there or not. What do we do? Chris and I will discuss it some more in episode 3 of Conversations with Real People on Individualists Unite. And just a reminder, 2084, The Reawakening, a rather positive novel concerning a future in which an individual finds other individuals and they get together to, let's just say, rearrange a very strict, unforgiving government and turn it into something worthwhile. 2084, The Reawakening, available at Amazon or wherever you like to buy books. Thanks.